Take us with you wherever you go. Download our free apps for Apple and Android. Visit newstalkwtn.com. Then click to download.
He's a showboat. He's a grandstander. You know that. I know that. Sold his company for a tremendous amount of money. And he went out and bought a big yacht. And he had a very interesting life.
Live from Jackson in the heart of West Tennessee, this is the Dan Reeves Show.
He is a sick puppy.
Cinco Mayfair is also Cinco de Mayo.
Hey, get ready for Cinco de Mayo.
We are preparing our Cinco de Mayo celebration.
I am throwing a big Cinco de Mayo party.
Cinco de Mayo is as Mexican as it gets.
Cinco de Mayo already?
Oh, yeah.
It's Cinco de Mayo.
Make Cinco de Mayo numero uno.
It's showtime.
Well, it is Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo. That great American holiday as we celebrate Mexico's independence. Well, that didn't make sense, did it?
From France.
This is just another example, folks, of how much we love tacos. My name's Dan Reeves, along with Larry Newman. Hello, Newman.
Hello, Reeves.
It's wonderful to see you, Larry
You're
Newman.
still trying to convince yourself of that.
I'm working
About the
on.
8th time he said that.
What's not working with it?
I think you're practicing.
With my therapist, I am, but you're not helping. But I'm trying to. It evidently it's bad to eternalize anger and aggression, and I'm trying to self-regulate by releasing rage and anger in the form of saying, "Larry, good to see you."
I'm scared.
You should be very scared. Please turn your back on me. It's better than your front. See what you did is you made. Well, and Larry, let's get right into it because the weather outside is frightful. And I want to get to something that's delightful. But first, stand by for news. But before that, stand by for weather news. Larry, give us some. Is there any good news you could possibly share with us about the weather? Is it going to improve? Is it going to get worse? Are we just about, pardon me, where we're going to stay? What do you know? Over to the Weather Center. Here's Larry Newman. Weather presented by Dustin Ring. Dustin buys houses fast for cash. DustinBuys.com. He buys houses. He buys land. He buys trailers fast for cash. Larry?
Mostly cloudy tonight with a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms. Lows in the upper 50s. Southeast winds 5 to 10 miles per hour with gusts up to 20 miles per hour.
Wait a minute. Tonight?
Yeah.
You know, normally the wind dies down at night, doesn't it?
Well, not tonight.
Well, now, but normally, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, what's going on out there?
And chance of rain.
Barbaric. Wait, hold on. Just a minute. It's not an interruption.
Yeah,
this happens.
Sounds like an interruption.
Don't be so sensitive. This is there's some normal patterns are being disrupted. Maybe that's all a part of the changing of the seasons, though. You think?
It could be.
It could be. Okay.
Chance of rain 20% tonight. The barometric pressure in Bemis is 30.07. And Dan, we have 90% humidity, I guess, because of the rain we've gotten today.
Yes, it's when it's you know what happens when it's 100% humidity, don't you?
Yeah.
What?
It's raining.
That's right.
Saturday, the high will be 78, 30% chance of rain. Saturday night, the low will be 67 and partly cloudy. Sunday, a 30% chance of rain and 79 for the high. Sunday night, 65, 30% chance of rain. Monday, 81 for the high, 50% chance of storms. And Monday night, 66 and 40% chance of storms. And then we
I'm
go
not
from there.
afraid of storms. In case you're wondering.
Okay.
It is Cinco de Mayo. One of the ways that we celebrate Cinco de Mayo with tacos. But tequila. Do you have feelings of inadequacy, for example? Do you suffer from shyness? Well, if you do, there's a safe and natural way to feel better. Tequila. And there are some side effects, and we want to run those down for you because, quite honestly, Larry and I are going to get after some tequila because it's Cinco de Mayo. So, if you do have feelings of inadequacy, if you suffer from shyness, tequila. Sometimes it makes your clothes fall off. That's you knock it off, would you?
Do you sometimes wish you were more assertive? Tequila! You answered yes to any of these questions. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about tequila. Tequila is the safe, natural way to feel better and more confident about yourself and your actions. Tequila can cause you to ease out of your shyness and let you tell the world that you're ready and willing to do just about anything. You will notice the benefits of tequila almost immediately. Stop hiding and start living with tequila. Tequila may not be right for everyone. Women who are pregnant or nursing should not use tequila. However, women who wouldn't mind nursing or becoming pregnant are encouraged to try tequila. Side effects may include dizziness, nausea, vomiting, incarceration, erotic lustfulness, loss of motor control, loss of clothing, loss of money, loss of virginity, loss of your wife, loss of your husband, delusions of grandeur, table dancing, headache, dehydration, dry mouth, desire to sing karaoke and play all night, round trip of poker and truth or dare and naked twister and anyway, tequila. Leave shyness behind. Ask your doctor if tequila is right for you.
Yeah, it's you can ask your doctor if tequila is right for you, but those are some of the side effects from tequila. Now, again, the benefits, let's run those down. It's because it's Cinco de Mayo, Larry and I are probably going to get after some tequila in an aggressive sort of a way. If you do suffer from feelings of inadequacy, if you suffer from shyness, again, there is a very safe and, well, I shouldn't say very safe, but there's a safe and natural way to feel better, tequila. And we just ran down those side effects. Also, one of the side effects we didn't talk about, and I don't consider this to be a negative side effect. And I believe, who was the country singer that sang about it? But the name of the song was Tequila Makes Your Clothes Fall Off.
I don't know who did that.
Can you find out and maybe tell me tomorrow?
Yeah.
But it would be...
Send you a text.
It would be not Cinco de Mayo. It would be something else de Mayo.
Mio Mayo.
Mio Mayo.
Tequila makes me want to burn picnic tables down.
Oh, Gina.
Yeah, things get out of hand.
Langley. Now that sounds like fun.
No, I mean, it's all fun and games. It's all fun and games till the fire department shows up.
Burn a picnic table
down.
I
mean, the mistakes of my youth long time ago.
I'm glad, Larry, this means she's ready to talk about it. Put your phone down. Let's listen to her.
Who are you and what have you done with Dan Reeves?
He said it's part of his therapy, being nice.
Oh, okay.
He's told me 7 times, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. I thought you're trying to talk yourself into that.
His therapist said he had to be nice.
Yeah.
That's what's going on here?
No. The therapist didn't say that. It was talking with Larry about it's not good to internalize your aggression. You
get ulcers.
That's one of our survival techniques.
Yeah.
It ensures survival of the species, and I didn't want to internalize it, but I wanted to let Larry know up front that just seeing him doesn't make me angry. It usually takes 5 minutes or so before he starts making me angry, and I didn't want him to take it personally.
I find that hard to believe. I don't think Larry makes you angry.
We'll do it live.
Does it imply?
We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
We do it live here, folks.
Nobody makes you angry. You allow yourself to be angry.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me.
Hey,
But I mean,
it's Cinco de Mayo.
It is.
Who has big plans for today? I know. I don't either. I feel like a total loser. I am going to a derby party in Paducah, Kentucky tomorrow, though. So
That's well,
that's
that
fabulous.
doesn't have anything to do.
I've been
you
worried
guys
all
don't
week
have.
about the hat and what I'm going to wear.
You guys got gonna
Shout
have.
out to Hope. I'm sure she's listening.
You guys gonna have any tacos
Tonight?
tomorrow? The Derby party.
No, we'll be having some mint juleps, I'm sure.
Well, that's you can't count
I'm
that.
sure, darling.
I'm sure.
Can't count that as Cinco de Mayo. It's on the 6th and no tacos. Tequila?
No, I think I'm going to make some tacos at home tonight. Chop up
Oh.
some pork chops. Yeah.
That's
Little
cool.
taco salad action.
I feel like that's as close to an invite as we need. We'll be there.
No, y'all are not invited.
We don't
No,
really- we don't
this
have to
is
be
a Gene-
invited.
or a Gina and Sean party.
Okay. Well,
My cats were running around with little sombreros on today.
Really?
please,
Did you get a
please,
picture?
Please. Only thing I hate
I want to
worse.
see a picture of that.
The only thing I hate worse than some guy posting pictures of his cats is some guy talking about his cats. I
You
don't know
post
your
pictures
cats.
of your cats all the time. Susie, I've
But
seen
I
her on
don't-
Facebook more than once.
And talks about them.
I've
Every
not once
time.
mentioned them
I know.
today.
I know.
Well,
It's
it's
all judgy till you call him out.
how's the weather?
It's lousy.
No, what
I
meant
heard
to say,
Larry talking about it earlier.
his forecast
Not
was
gonna get any
lousy.
better either.
The delivery of his forecast was lousy, but
I don't
nobody-
know. I thought you brought it home, big guy. I really did. You had, yeah,
Well, this anger management is
not working.
hydroplaned right off into the ditch. The roads you just pulled in, is everything fine out there traffic wise?
Yeah, it's just kind of drizzly and just cold and doesn't feel necessarily like Sunday is the beginning of the Strawberry Festival, which I always associate with it's getting warm and beautiful.
I know it.
I know.
That is tremendous in it.
Do you know what I
Strawberry-
love?
I love it. Cinco de Mayo.
I've been listening to our station all day, and we've been talking about the Strawberry Festival, and near and dear to my heart,
Yep.
Cinco de Mayo kind of snuck up on us, didn't it, Dan? We
It
don't
is.
party like we used to.
Will y'all just say the 5th of May so we'll know what date it is? No one knows what Cinco is. Or
I don't even know
when
what
you,
the
when you
holiday
say de
is.
Mayo, we're thinking mayonnaise.
Isn't it a Mexican Independence Day, but it's not really? Isn't that the backstory on this particular holiday
I'm
that
good with
we've
that.
absconded?
Larry said it's Mexico's celebration of their independence from France.
I don't.
But
They'll-
I don't think they really celebrate it.
I don't think they were ever dependent on France,
no,
were they?
they owed France a lot of money.
Oh.
And
For what?
they'd gotten money from France. France came over to get it, and they said, "Come, bring it, bring
Yeah.
it." And they gave them all tequila and tacos, and France went home. They forgot all about the war.
You know, you got to appreciate the French. You know what? We showed up. We had a good party. We decided, hey, we're going back home.
Yeah.
No big deal.
I
They
mean,
had their little berets on.
They have
a loaf of bread
soirees.
under their arm.
They have soirees
Smoking a
in the
cigarette.
middle of the day.
Yes, they do. Got to give it up for the French,
Yeah,
even though it's Cinco de Mayo.
literally, you got to give it up to. Yeah, that is literally with the French. Well, I remember, our good friend Bob Ney, who comes on with Chuck.
Oh, yeah.
Monday was the former congressman from Ohio. He's the man that coined the term, no kidding here, freedom fries, when we got really mad at France because they would go along with our propaganda into the Iraq War. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Instead
Freedom
of French
fries.
fries, freedom fries.
Freedom fries.
I don't know. I really
You
don't
don't
have
remember
a
that?
comment.
He-
I mean, I'm sure somewhere in my file card, but
Let's get back to Cinco de Mayo. It'll be a downer.
we need some sombreros
put up a
here,
tree?
some Mexican food.
Did you
Woo-hoo.
put up a tree for Cinco de Mayo? Did you smoke a tree? What are you doing for Cinco de Mayo?
A piñata.
A what?
A piñata.
We got one of my favorite guests in the history of favorites and guests. You're going to join us here in about 5 minutes or so on the phones to have a conversation that I think everyone's going to find very interesting. He's an attorney. He's a great American, and he's an activist. And Jerry Skimecki is going to join us from Washington, D.C. here in just a moment. I think you're going to love the subject matter here. We're going to be talking about taxes, the can tax. You guys familiar with that?
No.
Well, you're about to be. And then we'll talk about just what's going on today in the U.S. of A. And he had a close relationship. I think he's worked as maybe on K Street and also closely with Marsha Blackburn at times. Jerry Skimecki going to join us next. We'll be right back here on the program from Gene Langley Ford Studio in Jackson, Tennessee. Dan Reeves, Larry Newman, Gina Langley. News Talk 96.5 FM, newstalk965.com. Jerry Skimecki. I have to phonetically write that out.
Fast 3 times.
What?
Skimecki.
We'll be right back.
It's always severe weather season in West Tennessee. When severe weather strikes, we are here for you. 96.5 FM, newstalkwtn.com.
Looking for a new and exciting career? At Jackson State Community College, we offer nationally recognized, top-rated programs designed to greenlight your career for success. Whether you're making the decision to finish your degree or forging a path towards a new career, your next step starts here at Jackson State. Learn how Jackson State Community College can greenlight your future at greenlightyourfuture.com. Paid for in full or in part with funds provided by the Strengthening Career and Technical Education in 21st Century Act.
If you're in business, you know just how important each call is. You don't have time for phone or internet downtime. Your business needs a reliable communications partner 24/7. You need Lifeline Voice and Data. Lifeline Voice and Data provides telephone service to emergency service facilities all over West Tennessee and beyond. For your business, we don't just provide a phone line. We provide a lifeline. Lifeline Voice and Data.
Attention all motivated sellers. Are you ready for a more exciting career in radio and digital marketing? Look no further than News Talk 96.5 FM. Join our team and tap into the world of multimedia marketing, radio, and event sales. We're looking for individuals who are passionate about helping.
Gene Langley Ford. Today, I'm going to talk about the 23 Bronco Sport Badland. The heart of this beast is a 2.0 EcoBoost, producing 250 horsepower and 277 foot-pounds of torque. And it does power a 4x4 system, which means you can get over any terrain possible. To go over any obstacle you have a 17-inch gray aluminum wheel wrapped in a all-terrain Pirelli tire. Now to the back, you're looking at 65 cubic feet of space, which means you can fit 3 golden retrievers back here, groceries, or even if you're a college student moving boxes. But no matter what, you can celebrate by opening a bottle. Now moving on to the interior, you have an ebony roast with heated front seats. You do have a 8-inch display backed with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Now one of my favorite parts is the GOAT modes. So as I was talking about earlier, you have 7 different drive modes. The GOAT modes is what gets you to that different terrain. So if you guys liked anything I spoke about, the horsepower, cargo space, or even the interior, come see me today at Gene Langley Ford. Again, Chandler Lewis.
Every pest control company has access to the same products. The Southeastern difference is the way we go to market. We don't believe that you should have to take out a bank loan to protect your home. You have more value to us as a lifelong customer, not as a one-and-done sale from a slick salesman. We can still be reached 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Termite and pest control, fungus and moisture barriers, attic installation, or just about anything else. Our services are guaranteed. 731-660-1052.
Hey everybody, this is Chandler Lewis with Gene Langley Ford. Today I'm going to talk about the 23 Bronco Sport Badland. The heart of this beast is a 2.0 EcoBoost, producing 250 horsepower and 277 foot-pounds of torque. And it does power a 4x4 system, which means you can get over any terrain possible. To go over any obstacle you have a 17-inch gray aluminum wheel wrapped in a all-terrain Pirelli tire. Now to the back, you're looking at 65 cubic feet of space, which means you can fit 3 golden retrievers back here, groceries, or even if you're a college student, moving boxes. But no matter what, you can celebrate by opening a bottle. Now moving on to the interior, you have an ebony roast with heated front seats. You do have a 8-inch display backed with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Now one of my favorite parts is the GOAT modes. So as I was talking about earlier, you have 7 different drive modes. The GOAT modes is what gets you to that different terrain. So if you guys liked anything I spoke about, the horsepower, cargo space, or even the interior, come see me today at Gene Langley Ford. Again, Chandler Lewis.
Gina, you went and got a facial, what, today or was it yesterday?
It was today.
It beauty to the bone.
Yes.
And let me recommend something you ought to think about to treat yourself to. And because you've been having like bad sinus.
Yes.
This life-giving green stuff known as pollen also can kill you. You've been, I mean, man. So at Beauty to the Bone with Michelle Bone, you said that was fantastic. What made that so different?
Just a massage, a facial massage in the area where I've been experiencing a lot of pressure from my allergies and just that swollen tissue, and just relaxing and having microdermablation done. I'm sorry. No, wait. No, that's not right. It is dermaplaning. Sorry. I need to get my terms correct. Yeah.
I thought that that's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah.
Did y'all get that?
Yeah,
Did y'all get that?
got that.
Okay. Because I want to get that right. That's really important. Just,
We're here
which
for you.
exfoliates and moisturizes. So, it was a wonderful way to start the day. Quite frankly, I'm in a great mood.
Man, that's awesome. That benefits me and you, don't it, Larry?
It does.
And John Langley, too. He's like, yeah, babe, go get a facial.
Sounds like, can I buy a season ticket there?
Well, I do their membership, so I get one once a month. That's the deal.
Beauty to the Bone.
Yeah.
With Michelle Bone.
Right.
Yep. And that's out North Star Drive, where Advanced Rapid Medical, 45 Urgent Care, Beauty to the Bone are all right there. The same great family. It is fantastic. Beauty to the Bone. We'll tell you more about that. Jerry Skameka is on the line with us. And I was telling you earlier, he's one of my favorite human beings. Now, I don't have a lot of favorites.
I thought I was your favorite.
Yeah, I said one of.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't want to bring Jerry on and tell him how much that I like you more than him. You know what I mean?
I don't mind.
Yeah, no, I know, but he's the guest.
Oops.
You with me, Larry?
I'm with you.
Thank you, Larry. So Jerry's on the line with us. Hey, Jerry, how you doing today?
Hey, Dan, great to be with you. I almost want to quit while I'm ahead. I don't think I have anywhere to go but down at this point. So,
well, but stay in the plane with me, Jerry. We'll go down together, probably to the side of the mountain. But man, how are you doing?
Oh, we're doing great. Absolutely fantastic, and always great to be with you. Pleasure to be with your audience and with friends and people we know out in West Tennessee. And so we're working to try to keep the economy on the rails as much as we can, the part that we play, representing the viewpoints of consumers and their needs and their concerns about inflation and jobs and everything else. So, yeah, things couldn't be better.
Awesome. Hey, let's run down your resume, and who better to do that than you? If for some, we picked up a lot of new listeners, like Larry's Cats and a few more, but they may not be familiar with it. It's been a minute since you've been on with us. Run down your resume and what you're working on these days.
I'll give you the cliffs. I started when I was out of school. I worked for an outfit, Brent Bozell in the Media Research Center. One of the things I had always recognized is just the extent to which the news media was overly biased and wasn't really representing both sides or more than one side. And that was pretty mild back in those days. This is the late 80s, early 90s, when, you had Dan Rather and Brian Gumbel and all these people influencing the news. And, now, today, it is just an entirely different animal, obviously. But from that point on, I mostly focused just on communications for conservative causes and free market economics primarily, a lot of campaign work, campaign communications. And you work in campaigns, politicians can get elected and they can change. There's good ones, there's bad ones. But in the end, when you're advocating for issues, you're never really beholden to the twists and turns of their political careers. You can always just, sort of stand on, it really doesn't matter who it is or what the party is. You pick a good issue, you advocate on the right side of it, and you can feel good at the end of the day. So that's what we really try to do at Case.
And today, some things you're working on and what's on your mind today. Let's run that down and get right into it, Jerry, because these are some very, very important issues. And if you have a question or comment for Jerry during this conversation, the Advanced Rehab and Medical text line is open. If you'd like to text the program, the text line number is 731-800-TEXT, 731-800-8398. Presented by Advanced Rehab and Medical, advancedrehabjackson.com. Dr. Shannon Bell ranked in the top 10 for chiropractors on planet Earth. Jerry, some important issues. Let's get right into it today, and I'll let you start it off. What's on your mind? What can we do?
Well, last week we launched a campaign called Crush the Can Tax. It's an issue just sort of off the horizon right now, but it'll be growing as sort of the news of it pops out. Normally you have things like steel tariffs and trade tariffs pushed by administrations, presidents. Donald Trump did it. George W. Bush did it. It goes all the way back to Lyndon Johnson when, for example, they tried to protect the U.S. steel industry through protectionist tariffs. And so the economic record on that is pretty spotty. But what we have here is a particular can conglomerate, the largest in North America as far as some of the steel they produce, is petitioning the government for a tax on tin plate steel, which would be devastating to consumers. It would raise the price of canned goods, everything they buy from aerosol to cleaners to ravioli to corn, up to 58 cents a can. And given the fact that we are in the midst of the most pernicious inflation issue with the economy, it still comes up, number one, the economy and inflation especially, as far as the biggest concern to voters and just people in regular surveys is why are we going to allow one company to benefit at the expense of not only consumers, but also our can manufacturers, the people who use cans for processed products. It's just going to raise the price on everything. It's going to make us less competitive, and it's going to put thousands of jobs at risk. And it really is a tremendous imbalance between the benefits to be had by one company by instituting these tariffs versus the economic harm and damage that is going to redound to the rest of us.
Okay, what's the company that would benefit from this, Jerry? The can attacks. Who would benefit from that?
It is Cleveland Cliffs out of Ohio. They and the Steelworkers Union are the ones who filed the petitions. And tin plate actually makes up only about 2% of their entire steel volume. They're focused on other types of steel that, for example, the auto industry uses, and flat-rolled steel that has multiple uses in industry. So for only 2% of their business, they are pushing this very punitive tax. The other issue is that American manufacturers have been moving away from tin plate. They've been divesting and going into other areas. There's all kinds of steel. There's so many varieties of it. And this is an area that they have not invested or updated their equipment or the machinery or the factories. And even after the Trump tariffs came in, which gave American manufacturers an advantage, we saw the producers leaving the market. There were 11 or 12 lines of tin plate steel being made. And after the tariffs were instituted, again, it's kind of an umbrella of price controls that they received. They pulled out. We only have about 3 or 4 lines of tin plate steel. And, we have the Bush Brothers in Tennessee is a big employer, thousands of employees. They would be hit. They might have to lay off people. They may sell less overseas. They'd be less competitive. And in exchange, if you're just looking at jobs, for every steel job that is preserved or protected by this tariff, you're going to have 600 jobs downstream in manufacturing and food processing and transportation that'll be impacted. So it's a real bad deal. It's a real bad idea, and it's being kind of pushed clearly by a company that is currently doing quite well, and they're seeking to line their pockets really at everybody's expense. And given the situation with inflation now and the uncertainty people see every day with in the financial markets, this is just a real bad loser. People are interested to find out more. We have the crushthecantax.com, which lists all the issues and arguments and basically lays it out. And if they don't want to see the price of their pushing the cart around the store go way up, we encourage them to contact their congressmen and senators and just, politely and nicely remind them, like, hey, I'm a citizen here. Do what you can to stop this can tax.
So I guess the end result, or their goal, pardon me, Cleveland Cliffs, that is they want higher profits at the expense of everyday customers. Now, what's Jerry Skimecki's aligned with us here. Cleveland Cliffs, they petitioned the federal government to impose tariffs of up to 300%. Isn't that right, Jerry? Is that number correct?
Right. There's 7 different countries, and they have proposed a various set of tariffs to kind of close them all down.
Okay, and template steel is used in all kinds, as Jerry explained, cans, containers for virtually everything. Soup, canned veggies, tuna, and let's see, household cleaners, bug spray. They get your attention there? And
you had me at tuna.
I had you at hello. Let's see. Yeah, and as Jerry's pointing out, could lead to job losses, could lead to food bank bankruptcy. In short, what Jerry's pointed out here, the can tax is an ill-advised policy that will have adverse effects on consumers, the canning and consumer products industry, and the economy. Now, the website is caseforconsumers.org. Now, Jerry, here's who is helping here? Because this company here, they can't, or at least they're not supposed to write legislation, or who's helping? Who's helping ramrod this through?
Well, they have a lot of money themselves, they're a pretty profitable company. They started off, just a few years ago, they were a mining company mostly, and they provided raw materials to steel manufacturers. They, over the course of the past 4 or 5 years, have gobbled up 2 steel manufacturers. And so they claim they're vertically integrated. And, we don't have any problem, again, especially with an American company that's making a profit, that's producing something that's very valuable. Steel all across the board, but they, have debt to service, and they have a contract with the unions, and so I think they're looking to squeeze the market as much as they can. The help that they really would get is from, some sympathetic politicians and the unions, which can be quite substantial, and contributions and legwork and all that stuff. So, they're. But as far as the companies that will benefit, it would primarily falls on them, and I really can't see benefits other than their increased profits.
Okay. Gina, Larry, you guys with us so far? Any questions, comments?
No, this is very interesting. First I've heard of it. So.
Well, that's why we're here.
Yeah,
we've been too busy talking about drag queen brunches.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that, Jerry, around here. Yeah. They've been busy with here. It's kind of good. That seems to be more entertaining for people than talking about tariffs on cans. But it's tariff on cans. These are the things that really affect everyday lives.
They're all important. But there's those times in life when you go to the store, you go to the pump, or you get a bill in the mail, and you go, what happened here? I can remember, and what you don't realize is that, something changed. The law changed, tax changed, some agency made a rule, and, people are very busy. They can't keep track of all the stuff. And there's lots of the stuff that goes on in Washington all the time.
Right.
So this is one of those things that we're exposing now that, we thought was very important just to, get out there so people don't go to the store in 6 months and go, I can't buy all this. I've got to put some of this back. And so they're facing enough already. And I think, just kind of calling Cleveland Cliffs out on this very unfair, fictitious petition they've put together will really save not just, consumers, but, again, Bush Brothers, and you have a lot of domestic and cottage industry in Tennessee that used canned tin plate lining on their jars, for example. So this doesn't really help anybody. So I think it's pretty clear cut, and people get it. And if they've had enough, they should. We encourage them just to speak out.
Gotcha.
And again,
let me ask you this, Jerry. What can people do? What can we do to help? Larry, for example, what can he do? Reach out to our representatives. This would be on a federal level, I assume. So, like Marsha Blackburn, who you know, and or Bill Hagerty, our 2 U.S. senators. What do you recommend for someone like Larry to do?
I think that's democracy in action. Right there. I think that you. Get in their ear, call their offices, the ones in Washington and the ones in Tennessee, your representatives. And, when people start calling in and saying that they would like to see their representatives take a stand against this, vocally oppose it and publicly oppose it, that's how we get their attention. So, and I thought also just education, too. In Congress, they are dealing with tons of issues all the time as well. So, they have their priorities, and, their heads are on a swivel, their calendars are very filled when they're up there. So, even they may not be aware of it. So even educating the offices about it and saying, hey, have you heard about this can tax, this tariff that this Ohio company wants to push in on consumers and Tennessee workers? So I think that's pretty powerful, and that would be very sufficient.
Jerry Skamecki joining us on the program. Okay, Jerry. Now, here's the thing that we're a little bit concerned about, because I just read a Fox News poll that like 70% of that responded to the Fox News poll of Americans want a single-payer healthcare system. They want to eliminate this middleman known as health care insurance companies that are for-profits, and they're making a ton of money. And they're also the ones that lobby and say, if we were to go to some single form of health care, like every other industrialized country on God's green earth, we'll soon become Venezuela. Fear, 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 fear. So even though 70% of Americans in this democracy of ours, this representative form of government, say we want something done about this toxic dumpster fire in healthcare, I think the politicians are speaking loud and clear, saying, hey, here's some cake. Enjoy this cake, because we've got people backing up Brinks trucks to our front door, and those are the people we actually represent. Now, that seems to be catching on here, Jerry. What do you think? What do you say to that?
Are you talking about the PBM, the pharmacy benefit managers, who are the middlemen in the prescription drug chain?
You can have them in too. You can have them in too with the health insurance companies, the nonprofits like Blue Cross Blue Shield, and those folks that are the guy making the decision on whether you get health care or not is doing that based off of his bottom line and profit for the company, not your health. I think people are catching on to this.
They operate without any transparency. They negotiate prices from the drug companies, which are private, that they don't divulge. The drug companies often put in rebates and discounts so they can get on the insurance plans. Then the PBMs and the middlemen turn around and they charge the consumer drugs through the pharmacies with the insurance covers. We don't know what they paid for it and what they're paying for it. Co-pays are going up, and they're keeping rebates, and again, they're just doing business under the dark of night. And I think that's a real problem, because about 80% of the pharmacy business is controlled by only 3 major PBMs, and they started off as a good idea. They started off basically as administrators to make sure that drugs were covered and included in plans, and that the people under the coverage were getting the best deal for them for what their needs were. They just grew out of control to where they control the system. But I don't think if people knew the details of what a single-player healthcare system would be, that they would like it very much, because you're really just trading the power of an insurance company to control when you can be seen, by whom, what medications you can receive, what procedures you can receive, and at what cost to the government. So
I think what, Jeff, if I can jump in here, the big difference there is, though, that one of them is for profit, and the other one would be run to not as a business, but as a service to human beings, and those human beings which live in this country. Now, as I've gotten older and expanded my horizons, I have long-term friendships with people that live in the UK, Australia, Canada, and they think we're fools. And I have friends that I grew up with, went to high school, that had succumbed to the propaganda in America about healthcare, that now that they're living abroad are going, geez. I mean, even in Costa Rica, friends are saying, geez, I can't believe that I should believe that at one time. And I understand propaganda works. I'm not criticizing anyone for believing it. But when I talk with the people that actually live in these countries, they tell an entirely different story than a politician trying to pitch why our healthcare system is so much better. Don't look at the numbers. Don't look at healthcare in America being the leading cause of bankruptcy, nor don't pay attention to it being the leading cause of preventable death in America. Don't look at that. Look over here at this. Venezuela! And then everybody just knocks them off kilter, sort of a thing. Where are they wrong when they tell me? And they also get these are democracies in which they get to vote their healthcare system in. From time to time, they seem to always, they don't seem to, they always vote it back in. Well,
look, nobody's ever wrong if it's an opinion based upon their personal experience and what they've gone through. I would never say anybody's wrong. It always depends upon what your situation is as well. If you've got chronic and deep-seated health issues, there are certain countries that will be good to be seen in. And if you're older and relatively healthy, and you may have support through prescription drug programs or doctor visits, and that would just be cheaper than in the United States. The problem is that when you say for-profit, it is the for-profit system that has developed all the drugs that are available. America develops about 50% to 60% of the drugs on the market.
No, Jay, let me jump in here with you. It's the taxpayers that fund a great deal of that research, so they get to do that free. There's socialism, but it's kind of reverse socialism. But it's the taxpayers being robbed by these corporations like Big Pharma to experiment and develop new drugs. That's not socialism. If it were to benefit the American people, then Venezuela to scare everybody. Where am I wrong here?
Well, really, Dan, it comes down to the government does do some funding. They do partnerships not only with universities and with labs and even with private companies. But the government's never going to get a drug in your hands. You can say that the government supplies.
They do in other countries, though.
Well, far less than they do here. If you are in the UK,
but we're drug addicts. I mean, that's why we're drug addicts.
Well, you asked me for the opposite view, so I just wanted to get into that.
I know.
Yeah. If you're in the UK or Japan or Greece, just as an example, you have less access to fewer than 50% of the drugs that American patients have, and you see better survival rates. You also see sooner treatment. But, again, not everybody's experience is the same. 9 out of 10 prescription drugs that are scripted in America are generic. And America is very competitive and even lower than some of these socialized countries in the cost of generic drugs. But if on the 10% of new drugs being developed...
That's because they charge us so much here in America. Jerry, you know that? They way charge us.
Dan, do you know what the average cost and time of developing and testing and getting approval for a drug and bringing it to market is?
Well, hey, listen, if that's too much trouble for these big pharma companies, I mean, get another job. The world needs bartenders. It's the game they've chosen to play. That's not our fault that it takes that long.
But if they're going to put that money in, they're not going to put the money into developing it if they can't get a reward on the other side.
Well, the reward
nobody works for free.
The reward would be to save your fellow human's life or help. When it's all dictated, when greed sets in, is what I'm worried about, Jerry. You of course, you make some great points with what you're saying. This is just kind of, I can play devil's advocate, but I do know this: they do not hand out drugs in other countries the way they do in America. In fact, the opiate crisis, the epidemic we have here in our country, what is it, Jerry? We represent like 5 or 6% of the Earth's population, but we also account for 80 some odd percent of the scripts written for opiates in the world. Now, Purdue knew that was a really bad idea. The politicians knew that. They did it anyway because of the money. That's who's running our system today.
You can certainly find a lot of room for improvement in the way medicine is practiced in this country.
That's one way to put it.
What I would say is don't take what's bad and make it worse, and don't take what's good about the system and make it bad. I agree that you mentioned a lot of important areas where we can improve, but a bigger federal bureaucracy where more money is going to people who don't know you, who don't live near you, who don't care about you, I think is a very, very scary prospect
for a lot
of people.
Tell me what you mean by that. Because I got a lot of respect.
Well, you're going to have...
Seriously.
You're going to have somebody in an office building in Washington, D.C. who's going to decide what the compensation rate is for a certain drug or what the reimbursement rate is, or what drugs are covered.
Let me tell you who's doing that now. Yeah. And the people doing it now, they've swung and missed. Okay, it's time to give somebody else an opportunity because Blue Cross Blue Shield right here in Tennessee a few years ago, the feds finally called and said, "Hey guys, you're representing yourself as a nonprofit." They said, "That's right." They said, "Well, you can't sit on a mountain of cash like that and call yourself a nonprofit. Here's what some things you could do with that money. You could return it to your customers in the form of rebates, some of it." You can do things like that. And they said, okay. And they talked to the lawyers, and then instead of rebating their customers, they built brand new cathedrals in Chattanooga. What do they have to do to prove to us that they're not the ones we should trust with our health when you got a company, just like when I had a kidney stone a few years ago, I went to the emergency room, excruciating pain, and here's what they did for me. They did an X-ray, I believe, and they gave me, I don't even know if they did that. They essentially put me on the table, put an IV in my arm, and started pumping painkillers in, which I really appreciated. And they had to hit me with morphine. And I said, hey, guys, I'm good. Mm-hmm. And can I get some to go? First time I've ever had morphine. And the last time, too. Let me point that out. And then so they sent me home with a funnel to urinate through, and then sent me a bill for $7,000. Now, mm-hmm. I had Blue Cross Blue Shield. And I think the $7,000 or $4,000 was my part. It's $4,000 for that visit. And I asked for an itemized bill, and I had a friend that owned a medical supply business, and I took that itemized bill and we sat down and looked at what they were charging me. It was like 1,000% or more markup. This was when Regional was here in town, and he was just laughing. Said, "Geez, I need to get in business." And so I wrote them a letter. And I wrote them a check for like $2,000. Mm-hmm. They were wanting $4,000, and I told them why. And I pointed out to all that itemized bill, and I said, and if you don't think this is enough, because they already had they were collecting. Let's see, was it $3,000 from the insurance company, and then wanted $4,000 from me. I said, if that's not enough, this will make it, let's see, this is $5,000 for that visit. If that's not enough, sue me. And guess what they did? They took my advice and sued me. And when I was and I pushed it all the way to court, and my lawyer said, don't do it. You're right, and the judge is going to tell you you're right, but he's also going to say, is that your name at the bottom of that essential contract that I had to sign with him in order for them to give me some morphine to make the pain go away? And I was going to have to say yes. And he was going. And my attorney said, the judge is going to say, you're right, Reeves, but I've got to rule according to the law. And he said, you can do all that, and you're still not going to win against them. And when I got there that morning, the courtroom was full of people they were suing. Regional Hospital was suing. This is a disaster. When you say, let's not tear it all down, I don't know what we'd keep. Because, just watching our neighbors in Canada a few years ago when they were voted, it was voted to give all the doctors a raise in the healthcare system in Canada. The doctors said, hey, thank you very much. We appreciate that you enjoy our work. Let's give that to the patients. I just don't know how we wear the WWJD bracelets. I don't know how we say the things we do and pretend this is not happening. It's not good for our health. It reminds me of someone that's been abused, mental abuse, living under a trauma bond. You can do that, but you'll lose yourself. You know what I mean?
I can't disagree with those problems you pointed out there. You're absolutely right. I mean, especially things like surprise billing. There's a total lack of transparency in healthcare. A lot of those things are actually government-driven. If you, not a lot of people remember this, but when Obama was promoting his Obamacare, his main talking point was we cannot get our hands around the federal deficit and the debt without addressing healthcare. That was his main talking point. We need to institute this care program in order to address costs, so we'd be more fiscally, viable with it and stop piling up all this debt. Well, Obamacare has been the most expensive thing, about 8 times more expensive than they said it would be. The subsidies are growing year after year. This IRA that Joe Biden just passed took over $240 billion out of Medicare to build up these subsidies. So the issue is when you have government involved and then the healthcare institutions react a certain way, they're not blameless, but they're playing by these rules that the government sets up. And our argument is let it be more free market. Let's move the government out of it.
No.
So,
look, the free markets. We have seen what happens when we push free market and no regulations. The honor system doesn't work. I'll use an example called Wall Street in the Great Recession. They don't work well under the honor system, and capitalism will not work if it doesn't have regulations. That's how we built the middle class. And this is how we're destroying the middle class, is to say, hey, it's like saying, okay, I've got 3 pit bulldogs here and I have 1 hot dog. I'll just give it to them and they'll share. They're not going to share. These people are greedy, and I tell you, they hate capitalism, at least in the form that we had it to build the middle class and to turn America into the world's only superpower and all the great things that this country's done. Jerry, I just think there are people that hate it. They're in positions of power. This is not a partisan issue. I blame both parties, and I would like to say goodbye to both parties and have 0 or 10 to 20 parties.
I think your diagnosis is correct, but your treatment is just a little bit off base. Yeah, no one would say no regulation. That's not a position we hold. But when you say why the hospital bills are going up tremendously because of consolidation, why do the hospitals consolidate? Well, they consolidated under Obamacare because it was much more profitable for these corporations to be integrated. It's also part of the insurance companies were the ones supporting Obamacare because they're getting subsidized tremendously.
I wasn't advocating for Obamacare, and yes, I agree with you. But the Republicans are just as guilty of all this. And don't you agree?
I haven't seen anything that they put up lately. Ever since John McCain voted no to overturn Obamacare about 8 years ago, I don't think it's really been a big priority. And you've seen,
you do have drag queens right now. They'll get to health care hopefully before we die.
Well, you have guys like Buddy Carter out of Georgia. He's a pharmacist, and he formed the PBM caucus, and that is to go after these secretive prices and this lack of transparency. And that's you have to chip away at it wherever you can. And that's an area that needs to be addressed. The hospitals, what they're doing with their special programs that are supposed to help the needy and the indigent, that hospitals are subsidized with by the government, and that's not happening. So you have this alliance, between private companies and the government. But we think that the government is the primary instigator. We don't think it gets better the more the government gets involved in. That's all. Everything I think you've said is a very legitimate problem that needs to be addressed. And for people who are sick and have to, dip into their savings, or they have to go into debt, or they're just, it's going to be a chronic problem where they can't get care. It's a nightmare. And that's, one of these catastrophic areas that has to be addressed as well. When the young people start getting older, there's not as many younger people to fund these exchanges as they'd hoped. So, you're really just kicking the can down the road because it's easy to take an insurance premium from somebody who's not going to see a doctor for a couple of years. So, but it is a problem. I just don't know if we want to give the government, make them the wizard behind the curtain.
Here's the thing, though. No, the current form of government, which is an oligarch system, let's be honest, in which corporations run the country. No, because the corporations have shown us what they are willing to do once they put the workers' union down, meaning there's no one to represent the workers in America. They are systematically just butchering the American middle class. So we know that we can't trust the corporations to run this country. And we also, when it comes to health care, there is this huge waste amount of money. In fact, I want to play something for you. Are you a Joe Rogan fan?
I listen to him on occasion. Sometimes agree, sometimes disagree, but I think he does a good job generally.
Yes, absolutely. Jerry, do you have? We've got to get a timeout. Can you hold over just a short break and come back? It's great to have you here, Jerry. Jerry's going to come in studio pretty soon. And I cannot wait to have Jerry in studio.
Sweet.
Thanks, man.
Look forward to it.
Same here, Larry. I look forward to it as well. Hope Jerry does. Jerry, you do too, I hope.
Oh, yeah, looking forward to meeting you and Larry and the crew, everybody in the booth right now. I know you've changed since the last time I was on, so I have to catch up with all the news at the News Talk.
Absolutely. Jerry Schemecca on the line with us. We'll be right back. You stay right there. We'll continue this conversation. Gina, what do you think so far?
Really interesting. Really interesting.
And what about you, Larry? You have anything to add to it?
No, very interesting. I'm enjoying listening to it.
Have you been able to digest the news on the can tariff yet?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I've got a question about that.
Okay. All right. We'll continue here in just a moment. It is 12 minutes past 4. It's 58 degrees here in Midtown, J-Town at News Talk World Headquarters. The phone line is open, presented by the CWA Development Company, CWA. They specialize in commercial and residential renovation and restoration. They are the absolute best, striving for satisfaction through integrity and excellence. That's my old job. Fire and water damage restoration, plumbing, installation of sinks, faucets, toilets, garbage disposals, water heaters, and repairing leaks. And Gina, they just did a big job for you and John, didn't they?
They did.
And
a water leak upstairs, huge hole in the ceiling right before Easter, and CWA came to the rescue.
Wanted to make sure that Gina and John were able to host their Easter dinner.
Yes, they
with
did,
all the
and they
kids
did,
and
too.
grandkids. Yep. It went off as planned, right, Gina?
Big Easter egg hunt, Larry. Gold egg's got $20 in it.
Yay. CWA Developments. Call 731-503-9598. 80 years of experience. That's what they'll be sharing with you. That's the benefits of CWA. Absolute pros. Open Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. and on Sundays for emergencies, 731-503-9598. From the Gene Langley Ford Studio in Jackson, we'll be right back here on News Talk 96.5 FM and News Talk 965.com. Jerry Schemecca, our guest.
This is WBFG 96.5 FM, 96.5 FM, Parker's Crossroads, Jackson.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Protesters in New York are calling for an arrest in the death of Jordan Neely, who died after being put in a chokehold by a fellow subway passenger.
A New York medical examiner's office ruled that Jordan Neely's death was a homicide from compression of the neck. Groups of protesters in New York are demanding charges. Witnesses say Neely was acting erratically on an F train in the New York subway Monday afternoon, threatening passengers and throwing garbage in his jacket when he was tackled by bystanders. Police questioned and then released a 24-year-old white Marine showed on video holding Neely in a headlock for at least 3 minutes. Prosecutors promised a rigorous investigation, and police are seeking additional witnesses, photos, and video that might help illuminate what transpired. New York Mayor Eric Adams said Thursday there were many layers to the incident, saying he respects the process. I'm Jennifer King.
Also at townhall.com, under a proposed rule change, foreign citizens and companies would need U.S. government approval to buy property within 100 miles of 8 military bases.
The proposal follows a Chinese firm's attempt to build a plant near the Grand Forks Air Base in North Dakota, which raised national security concerns. The new rule would affect Grand Forks and 7 other bases, including 3 that are tied to the B-21 Raider, the nation's future stealth bomber. The Treasury Department's Office of Investment Security is set to propose the rule today. It would give expanded powers to the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States. Tasha Stevens reporting.
The Republican-controlled North Carolina legislature has approved a ban on nearly all abortions after 12 weeks of pregnancy. And that's in response to last year's overturning of Roe v. Wade at the U.S. Supreme Court. The measure passed by the Senate on Thursday lowers the time restriction from the current 20 weeks. On Wall Street, stocks sharply higher. The Dow up 585 points, the NASDAQ adding 283. More at townhall.com.
People ask me sometimes, Lance, I'm worried about my finances, and I feel bad because I shouldn't be worried, right? I realize that inflation is going to be eating up money. I've got to do something to get around this crazy stock market and Biden's spending spree. Gold has, since the beginning of time, been the resource that God's people have relied on. The silver is mine and the gold is mine, is what the prophet Haggai said during a time of great shaking. To protect your retirement, I recommend that you diversify your 401k or IRA right out of paper assets and into physical gold. And the best way to do that is with Gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group. I want you to text the words FAITH, F-A-I-T-H, to 989898 and get a free info kit on gold IRAs. There's no strings attached to this, so just text FAITH, F-A-I-T-H, to 989898 and see what I've discovered here about gold and its ability to stabilize your investment and create a storage of wealth for you in unsteady times.
A powerful earthquake has shaken central Japan with reports of some damage.
Japan's broadcaster NHK has shown footage of homes in Ishikawa province shaking strongly. Residents in the affected areas have been urged to watch out for further tremors with similar strength. The country is marking Children's Day, which ends a public holiday week here. Many families in markets and shopping malls could be seen ducking down and seeking shelter. Japan's meteorological agency has said there was no threat of a tsunami, but that there could be changes in sea levels around coastal areas.
BBC correspondent Shima Khalil. In Congo, rescue efforts underway after flooding and landslides brought on by torrential overnight rains in the province of South Kivu killed more than a dozen people. More than 30 people are missing. In the nearby localities, the heavy rains began on Thursday evening. Breaking news at townhall.com. Apple has once again posted an, until now, rare revenue decline in its latest fiscal quarter.
Despite the decline, the tech giant says its overall business improved from the October to December quarter, and sales of its iPhones were solid. The company earned $24.16 billion in the three-month period that ended April 1st. That's down slightly from the $25.01 billion a year earlier.
Correspondent Jeremy House. In a settlement agreement last year, TurboTax's owner Intuit Incorporated was ordered to pay $141 million to low-income consumers who were deceived into paying TurboTax to file their federal returns, despite being eligible for free federally supported tax services. The amount paid to each eligible consumer will range from $29 up to $85. More on these stories at townhall.com. I'm John Scott.
Hey, this is Chuck Walker with Southeastern Termite and Pest Control. We recently celebrated our 20th year in business here in West Tennessee. That's 2 decades of growth for us. We've added to our work family, moved locations a few times, seen our coworkers have kids and grandkids. We've even seen our clients who were kids when we started at their parents' house now call us to take care of their homes. Lots of things change over 20 years, but here's what hasn't. We can still be reached 24 hours a day. We still provide quality, guaranteed termite and pest control service for all of West Tennessee. We still are the go-to company for real estate closing letters. We still provide quality fungus treatments and affordable moisture barriers. We still take care of your bed bugs, brown recluse, and every other pest problem you could have. If you own a home, you need termite protection. And the biggest thing we've learned in 20 years, we need you. Give us a call 24 hours a day for a different kind of experience from a service company. Southeastern, 660-1052. That's Southeastern, 660-1052.
Pansies, poppies, and daffodils aren't the only spring things popping up all over West Tennessee. Beautiful deals on new 2023 Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs are blooming right now at Gene Langley Ford in Humboldt. Hi, this is Sarah Beth Langley. Come by our lot at 3500 Easton Drive in Humboldt or visit us online at GeneLangleyFord.com. You'll see our personalized service, guaranteed financing, and lifetime powertrain warranty make buying your new Ford a bright and sunny experience. Or customize your new Ford car, truck, or SUV and apply for financing online at GeneLangleyFord.com, and when it arrives, we'll deliver it right to your driveway. In the market for a pre-owned vehicle, we have a huge selection on all makes and models, updated daily at GeneLangleyFord.com. And as everyone knows, if you ever have any service needs, our service department is known area-wide as the best in the business. Regardless of your make or model, we'll get you back on the road in no time. Whether it's a new Ford, a used vehicle, or service, you really should try Gene Langley Ford before you buy. The dealership service bill.
See dealer for warranty details.
Welcome to Hampton Inn & Suites of Jackson. Make yourself at home in any of the 83 rooms or suites. Hampton Inn & Suites exit 83 at I-40 is minutes away from all Jackson destinations like the West Tennessee Healthcare Sportsplex, Casey Jones Village, Jackson Madison County General Hospital, and many industrial complexes. Enjoy free Wi-Fi, free parking, and free hot breakfast. Also a 24-hour fitness and business center. Welcome to West Tennessee. Make your reservations now by calling direct at 731-427-6100 or visit hampton.com.
Are you tired of the stresses of everyday life? Do you need a break? Indulge yourself at Bogey's Dream Studio. Experience the very best massage therapy. Shane specializes in hot oil stone massage, which will melt away your tension and leave you feeling refreshed and rejuvenated. Self-care is important. Regular massage will strengthen your immune system, decrease joint inflammation, and help you enjoy better quality of sleep. Bogey's Dream Studio will help you achieve a relaxed mind and body. Why wait? Call now. 731-402-0172. That's 731-402-0172 for the very best massage experience you'll ever have. Let Bogey's Dream Studio of Massage take you to a dreamy state of relaxation. Call 731-402-0172. That's Bogey's Dream Studio of Massage, 401 Federal Drive, Jackson.
Looking to add a little spice to your love life?
Nothing adds spice like gunpowder.
Jackson's only indoor shooting range, date night at the range. Here's what you lovebirds get: a shooting lane for two targets, 100 rounds of ammo, eye and ear protection, and a $30 gift certificate to Texas Roadhouse. All for just $99.99.
Now that's firepower.
Perfect for a gift card from the range. The Range, 2310 North Highland Avenue in Jackson.
Go to therange.com.
News Talk 96.5 FM weather, presented by Dustin Ring. Dustin buys houses fast for cash. Call Dustin today, 731-200-1362. Friday brings a 40% chance of rain and thunder. Highs near 80. Mostly cloudy tonight, with a 30% chance of rain and thunder. Lows in the mid-60s. Dustin buys houses fast for cash. DustinBuys.com. For weather 24/7, visit newstalk965.com.
Take us with you wherever you go. Download our free apps for Apple and Android. Visit newstalkwtn.com. Then click to download.
You can't see. If I could read your mind, love, what a tale your thoughts could tell. Just like a paperback novel.
424 in the program. We just missed 420, didn't we? On Cinco de Mayo. The late great Gordon Lightfoot. What was he, 84? 84 years old. He passed away just a couple of days ago. Jerry, were you a fan of Gordon Lightfoot?
Absolutely. Classic, easy listening radio, yacht rock back in the, before it was called yacht rock, but a great vocalist and a great writer, and you just don't have those kind of, when you think about like him and I think his name was Cat Stevens again, and Jim Croce, and these these real songwriting balladeers. I don't know where they are today. I know some people like Ed Sheeran. I gave that a shot and it didn't work, but Gordon Lightfoot was one of the greats.
Absolutely. Speaking of one of the greats, Jerry Skamenko with us, and join us for the program here. My name's Dan Reeves. Larry Newman is here. Hello, Newman.
Hello, Reeves.
And Gina Langley. Hi, Gina.
Hey, Danny.
Wait, okay, let me play this off of the, this is Joe Rogan's show, and
I love me some Joe Rogan.
Kyle Polinsky? I'm not familiar with this, but he was on here, they were talking healthcare. Here, let me roll it.
Medicare for all. Why is that? Because we have an unnecessary for-profit middleman that essentially acts like a mafia. So what we're saying is, I'm going to remove that mafia from around your neck, and you're going to, it's basically... What is that mafia you're referring to? That mafia is the for-profit health insurance company. So they have to take their cut as the middleman between you and your doctor. Mm-hmm. Okay? If we just remove that, have the government at no profit margin be the single insurer, that's what a single payer means, they're the single insurer, then we actually end up saving $5 trillion over the course of 10 years. And that's not Kyle Kulinski talking. That's a detailed study from the University of Massachusetts Amherst.
Well, it's $5 trillion in savings over the course of 10 years.
Yeah.
That's a brink strike or two there, Jerry. What do you think?
Well, first I just want to point out that you pulled a little bit of a hidden ball trick on me, Dan, because you mentioned we were going to go deep into the healthcare system. So, but it's not a problem. But I was really coming on to make sure that consumers didn't have to fill out a credit report before they went to the grocery store. But
Jerry, this is your fault because I enjoy talking with you about a number of different subjects. So it's really your fault.
Yeah, and but all of the points you make, they're all very valid, and I guess I'm skeptical because we've heard this all the time. We've heard if you just let the government do it, it'll be cheaper. It's never true, and the government makes terrible decisions. When you had the health crisis first broke out in March of 20, in April, what these governors did in Michigan, in New Jersey, and Cuomo in New York, they put old people together in COVID incubators, and the mortality was through the roof. And you're putting your your well-being and your health in your body, and I will never. There's a lot wrong with the for-profit system. I won't disagree with you there, but what the gentleman was saying, I don't know who Joe Rogan was talking to, but the insurers are a huge issue right now. Look at AARP. They are a nonprofit. They say they're there to help seniors, but they've been selling billions of dollars of United Health Insurance products hand over fist. And why do they support Joe Biden and the IRA? Why do they support Obamacare? Why do they support all these cuts? Because the only way that the seniors can make it up is to buy supplemental insurance. And they're supposed to be a nonprofit. And it is the biggest scam that nobody's talking about. So I'm right with you on the ones that, the doctors and that treat people, that actually make people get well or perform the surgeries and make the diagnoses, and the medications, the treatments like physical therapy and the scanning and imaging machines, which are growing and catching things sooner and more accurately. Those are the people we should be investing in. Those are the ones that actually keep us healthy or make people healthy or keep people alive. The insurance companies, I'm not going to defend them. So I don't have the extent of a report that you were just mentioning in front of me, but I'm with you that I think that they are a drag on the healthcare system tremendously.
Yeah, Jerry, the last thing I'll say about this with the healthcare, because is that was the guest Kyle Kulinski, whoever that is, but it was on with what did I say? Joe Rogan. Yeah, had somebody send me that clip, and it is. You mentioned Biden, you mentioned Obama. Again, this is not partisan to me. It's both parties have got to go. Okay, I've seen enough. I don't know if you've seen enough yet, but I've seen enough from these people. I think we are, again, our system today, we're being run by people with personality disorders, and I'm serious about this. Narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder in our government and in our business. When it comes up, does anybody really think that a man like Rupert Murdoch is mentally healthy? He couldn't do this in Australia. They take democracy much more seriously. So he does it here. And by the way, in Hungary, they love right-wing dictatorships, and that's where he was born. Now, he would do this in Australia, and he's trying to now, and in the UK. Rupert Murdoch is, and also it's not just him. It's an all-out assault on the First Amendment. When it falls, the rest will follow. Now, the other part of that with countries like Australia, Amazon, you can't shop online in Australia for all those products at Amazon. Amazon is reachable there. You can access Amazon, but they protect their local merchants in Australia, and they also have no interest in having Jeff Bezos become so powerful and be able to operate a monopoly, put everybody else out of business, and then buy the government we used to. What happened to our monopoly laws here, Jerry? Do you know? Jerry may have hung up on it. Jerry?
Oh, sorry. That's a involuntary. Yeah, but I don't know if you had a particular industry involved in. There's pretty good choice most places. I'm sorry if I missed something, but we had this discussion when we were talking about big tech and what's going on. It's with Bezos and with Murdoch, and you have just a concentration of power going into fewer and fewer hands, and that's where the real crux of the issue is. It's sort of us, the 90% of people who pretty much agree on what the rules are and how to behave and what makes a good neighbor and a good citizen. And people are, but how can the examples that are being set in public through the politicians and through all the media people that are paraded in front of us every day, it almost makes it seem like you're a sucker if you follow the rules. But I think people want to follow the rules, and I think people want to earn what they get, and they believe in accountability and responsibility. But we don't have representatives that honor and stand for those values.
Yeah,
that's a huge disconnect.
That's right, Jerry. I tell you, I really enjoy our conversations, Jerry, and I apologize for taking you down any path that you were not prepared for today, but. Again, it's your fault because I have a lot of confidence in you, and we hadn't talked in a while. I'm trying to squeeze it all in.
It's all good. I'm just giving you a hard time. You can bring up the space program or something.
That's what I want to get into next, Jerry, about the space program. Oh man, give us your website again on this can tax.
Oh yeah, crushthecantax.com, and we are caseforconsumers.org. But the can tax is a real thorn in the toe right now. So we'd really like to make sure that doesn't happen. That would be really bad for a lot of people. So it's our focus for the next few months.
And let's see, let me read you a couple of texts that have come in, Jerry, before you go. On the Advanced Rehab and Medical Text line, you can text the program at 731-800-TEXT, 731-800-8398. Let's see. This one says total healthcare expenditures in the USA, $4 trillion per year, and not everyone is covered. The $6 million question is, why does every advanced nation have some form of single-payer system, but not the USA? That came in on the text line. I don't know if you want to address that or not.
Well, that's the whole thing, but you do have a choice not to be covered here in the United States and other countries. I'm not sure that you do, and that is, you talk about Australia. We could talk about that sometime. Government has a lot more rights over the people than here. You would be really shocked at some of the things, or at least I think surprised at some of the power that the government.
No, I was married. I was married in Australia, and I've got some tremendous insight. And I wouldn't agree with that at all, because she had experience living here and there. I think it's just the opposite. But people in America do believe that, because during the COVID lockdown, I found this very interesting. It's really a case study, it should be. We just got on the phone with Teresa. Her best friend lives in Gold Coast, and she'd taken her kids to the beach and to the water park. And we were talking with her about that before the show, and just asked her how things were there. And they said, well, we can't leave our state, Queensland, but because the people in the adjoining states, whatever it is, they were not supposed to cross over without being tested. Some people were coming from out of state, and they were infecting Queensland citizens. So they said, okay, this border's shut now because of this. You can move about freely in your state. Well, their states there are huge. It's not like they have 50 states. Mm-hmm. And so we'd had that conversation. We get on the air, and a guy calls in from Beach Bluff, Tennessee, attacking us, saying, yeah, Australia, these socialists, blah, 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 you can't even leave your house. And sir, here's some good news for you. Just got off the phone with an Australian citizen and gave him the report from Australia, and he said, BS, I don't believe any of that. So what do you do in a nation in which that scenario plays out? I just got off that call, but a guy that lives here in West Tennessee knows more about it than someone in Australia, he thinks, and there's no conversation. Nothing's going to move him off of that because Tucker Carlson told him how it really is. You know what I mean? That's dangerous.
I always think it's dangerous or confusing to compare countries to the United States. There are certain things that you say, and again, I think you make some good points, Dan.
No, that wasn't a comparison. That was just a report on reality.
Right, but I mean, what people say democracy, I mean, when they have about 20 million people, and, Canada is, I'd be way off. Is it 30 million? Well, it's a lot less than us. These populations are a lot more homogenous. They're obviously a nation on an island, which certainly shapes a lot of your policies and your character and your temperament. It's like if you go to an investment counselor, and what you'll invest in will depend upon your toleration for risk. And people who would rather see the high-risk, high-reward people, maybe a little bit more out there. And someone who is really treasures like a long-term security and just they don't really need to make big gains. They just don't want to lose their shirt, And I think that's the same way with government, Dan. When people are who may have a higher risk tolerance, really put more stock, I think, in the free market and sort of an entrepreneurial solutions to some of these problems. And some other people who side with safety or have low risk tolerances, just they want to see things sort of controlled, limited, and they're better off with maybe fewer options as long as they feel comfortable. It's a little psychology because you were mentioning narcissists, but I think everyone comes at it from their unique point of view.
Well, it's not my point of view. I'm sharing information I've compiled from people that live in these countries. It's not an opinion. What I'm sharing with you, I'm just put it. And when it comes, they essentially are using the USA's old game plan, how we built the middle class. That's what they're doing, and they put much more emphasis on the free markets, the true free market, as in keeping the table from being tilted and the game from being rigged the way it's rigged in America because of people buying influence and buying politicians and essentially buying the government. They see what's happening here in America, but they are really warmed up to our old game plan, which worked great for us, but we decided to light a match to it, set it on fire for some reason.
Well, how many billionaires do they have that control the politicians and control the media? I mean, it's a curse and a blessing, but the United States invented the internet. We invented Google, Amazon, Uber. We're the innovators. We're the entrepreneurs, the ones that remake society for good or worse. I'm personally somebody who'd rather go back to carbon paper and a landline sometimes. I don't like the fact that I could be reached at almost any time. So they're free of that, and that's, I think, an advantage that they have that we don't.
Well, it's there's no doubt. That's what I'm saying. We've invented so many great. What has the pharmaceutical companies created when it comes to antibiotics in the last 20, 30 years? Nothing, because they're after the money. When it comes to male enhancements, yes, big time money there. Cialis, Viagra, you name it, and so those type of drugs. And then I love how the big pharma said, you know what, we're gonna create this vaccine, and this is about saving lives. Somebody say make on it last count $1 billion or so. It's just comical what goes on here in America, and somehow, some way, when we actually had monopoly laws that we enforced, when we didn't let the Supreme Court outlaw or take out of the dictionary political corruptness, which they've taken that out of the dictionary, and they're just doing it right out in front of us these days. Somehow we were able to be just as creative when we actually had rules and regulations to level the playing field. So I'm not talking about throwing a wet blanket over the creativity or this. We're supposed to be a melting pot, and yeah, we have many more people that live here than they have living in Canada. But what was that magic number? We were good with this until we hit 250 million. Did everything change when it was 251 million? So even if we have a lot more people, but that means, well, we have much bigger economy as well. So those things balance out. But if you have a government that's sold out to the corporations, and then the corporations start writing the laws to benefit the corporations, and you tilt the table, you rig the game, that's not capitalism. That is, that's something very, very, very dangerous.
That's what a revolving door is. Yeah, they work in government, and then they go out and work in the industries that they were just regulating a few weeks ago.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so you can peddle influence. Hey, I know a guy, I know a person over so and so. We can, and it's that is something to be looked at. As far as I would be in favor of limiting the that revolving door. I never believed. I never thought that term limits with politicians would ever really help, because it would give people another reason maybe not to vote. But I think I may have changed my opinion about that recently. But I think a much more important thing would be to have a term limit on people who work in politics. Don't know that it'd be constitutional, but having worked in politics myself, I know that what you have is a permanent consultant class. So the politicians come and go. They win office, they lose office. But, we're spending outrageous amounts of money on campaigns now. Things that we used to spend, that used to be a lot of high-dollar congressional campaigns back in the 90s, is chump change and legislative race. So, but also with the, as we talked about, with the digitizing of the world and our personal information and data being really the most valuable thing. You've seen a consolidation, again, of these trillion-dollar companies. That's what I think is one of the genies that you can't really put back in the bottle. We can't go back to how we created the middle class before. There has to be.
I think we have to, or we're going to go away. What we're doing is not working. We have half the country hating the other half. We have Americans that trust Vladimir Putin over Joe Biden. This won't do. We can't survive this way. This is if you think of any home and any family, and that's what we've got to be to a degree, because we essentially human beings that walk the face of God's green earth have almost everything in common, all across the globe. You narrow that down to a continent, North America. Now let's slim that down to a country, the United States. We almost have everything in common. It takes a good degree of efforts to convince people that to hate each other based off of politics, based off of people thinking they're part of a political party, which you're not, folks. I'm just telling you. No more than I'm a part of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm a fan of the Steelers, but I do not expect a Super Bowl ring. That's the difference between sports fans and political fans. They think they're going to get a Super Bowl ring, and they're not. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. We're all part of a tribe at heart somewhere. I think that part of our brain needs to be, if you wear, do you put the face paint on or just the jersey, Dan? I'm not sure how much you.
Jerry, I need your help to save the country, because I know you're a great American, and I have so much respect for you.
I appreciate it. You really went beyond the Cantax today, Dan. I was.
You told me I could.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't. You always nail the main point, and that is that there is a lot wrong, just kind of out of human nature, with the people that are running things and that we're counting on. It's very difficult to trust the institutions we used to. But the answers to those, I think, you're gonna. We'll have to talk more about it, but those are, those are the issues that decide everything else. I mean, those really are the main questions.
Well, and think about that. Let's formulate a plan, and let's try to. We'll present it to somebody.
We do a good job with wars because we're all on the same side, mostly, But when we're defeating Hitler, let's say the wars before that, I wasn't around for them, but that was one where people were, the country mobilized to an extent. People may have problems with some of the other wars we fought, but you look back at that, and even the Cold War. I mean, you had liberals who were anti-communists that were.
Liberals are anti-communists. The left-wingers are, the far left. That's communism. The conservatives are anti-communist. But you go far right, then you've got fascism. So there's a difference between liberals and the far left, just like there's a difference.
Yeah. If you're in the 70s and you're talking about a liberal, maybe someone like Paul Newman or Norman Lear, these were not people that were sympathetic to the Russians during the Cold War. I mean, there was a much more unified, I'd say, a spirit of, or as you said, unification. I mean, Ronald Reagan won Massachusetts and 149 states.
Yeah,
and you think this, there's absolutely nobody that who would lose to a Republican in Massachusetts or California today. That kind of partition through the country it's just so deep right now.
Absolutely. I was a kid when Reagan was in. Just loved him. I wish I'd have never done research on him for a paper, and then that triggered my curiosity and find out, well, it was his administration that killed the Fairness Doctrine, which is essentially put us on the path to where we are today. There was no other possible outcome once you let propaganda out of that box. Pandora's box was open. Here you go, American people. Get a good taste of this. Welcome to 1984. George Orwell wrote about it, but don't believe what you read there. And here we go. Welcome to 1984. We're living George Orwell's 1984 movie out. We're in it, folks. We are the characters. There was no possible other alternative outcome when you turn propaganda loose on a nation than what we have today. We're unhealthy. We're on dope. We are, it's a nation that's mentally ill. I'm just being honest because I love this country and I hate to see what's going on with people that I love and care about. And let's see, it's an obesity epidemic. We are unhealthy. We can't. Most Americans can't come up with $500 if they had an emergency, and we're angry, and we've got a lot of guns. What possibly could go wrong?
Not many as the IRS does. Don't forget that.
What's that?
I said not as many guns as the IRS has, and guns that we're not allowed to have either. They have millions of guns, or millions of rounds, which I've always wondered why the IRS needed. If you can check on that, almost an armament unto themselves, but the
IRS.
Well, we'll have to talk about the Fairness Doctrine sometime because I don't know how you have the Fairness Doctrine on the internet or when half of the Hollywood movies make fun of conservatives and
Hollywood movies never fell into that. That's entertainment. But when you present yourself as news, at one time in this country, you were not allowed to do that and then just blatantly mislead the American people. And if you believe the Founding Fathers, when they said, and they gave us some great advice, well, here's your democracy, here's your representative republic as long as you can keep it. And the most important thing I think they ever said was it's essential that we have a nation of informed voters, a nation of informed citizens. There are people working to make sure that doesn't happen. And I don't like that because it's harmful to intentionally mislead other human beings. It is, I've used the example here locally that in a sheriff's race a few years ago, a mailer was out saying elect me sheriff and I'll stop Obamacare. Well, the people who wrote that knew that was BS. And they laughed at the people that voted for that. That's not right. That's not healthy. That's narcissistic. It's a personality disorder. And I don't quite understand why others don't pick up on it. But well, I mean, I do. Propaganda works. It really does. I'm concerned. Can you tell?
I can tell a little bit. I think that I could help guide you. Maybe steer you right there a little bit. Look, Dan, the people who in the right after 2000, the young people who were voting, overwhelmingly got their news from, I don't know if you remember this, Comedy Central, from The Daily Show, which is Jon Stewart is a hardcore, that was a very far-left show. Always made fun of Republicans.
It was not a far-left show. Come on now. That's liberal and far-left are two totally different things. Jon Stewart has never warmed up to communism. And the thing about it is, I saw him get on Democrats as well. What he would do was show the irony and the absolute blatant lying that was going on. And so that was not, if you really watched that and you didn't feel like you were a part of a team, that you were this is just my viewpoint, when you can shake off party affiliation and be an American, you can see things a lot more clearly. I'm not talking to you. I'm just talking in general terms. And I don't know. If you believe that, what you just said, and I have no doubt that you do, what you're telling me is the truth has a liberal slant.
When you have an entertainment show, to me, comedy, it always has to have some truth in it. And it's funny regardless. And there's actually the new guy on Saturday Night Live who does Trump. I find him to be very funny.
He really is.
There's a couple. Yeah, I mean, he was much better than Alec Baldwin, who just hated Trump and just acted like, But so I have no problems laughing as long as it's based in truth. But you see that they make these cheap shot jokes all the time. Conservatives are racist. Conservatives hate the poor. Conservatives hate the environment.
Only people I hear say that are conservatives. I mean, I'll be honest with you.
This is all on the Daily Show and all these things. If you go, I can't watch the movie Jerry Maguire.
That's a comedy show. I'm talking about.
But that's where people got their news. They posed as news. The young people wanted to be entertained and get their news.
Yeah, but that wasn't Jon Stewart's fault. That was Fox News' fault and MSNBC's fault that they trusted. They had more trust in a guy who the show leading into his was Muppets making prank phone calls than they did off of ABC, NBC, Fox News, MSNBC. That wasn't Jon Stewart's fault. That was a great example of how far we had fallen. Because
I was never a fan of the network. I'm not going to defend them, but
because what he would use was the actual clips of the politicians and what they said.
Yes, but out of context, never taken in context. You can't. This is done all the time.
No,
it's just like with MTV. When you talk about discourse, Dan, I mean, MTV was the one that patted themselves on the back for having a forum where somebody asked Bill Clinton if he wore boxers or briefs. That the Daily Show, these kids weren't watching the Daily Show because they didn't find the networks were penetrating intellectually enough into the ideological underpinnings of the issues of the politicians. That's not what they were having. They wanted to be entertained. They wanted to sit there and stack on something. This is my view. Maybe puff on something and be entertained. They were not outwitting the news, and I think news has a lot of problems. It has for a long time, going back to Walter Cronkite. But
having to use the Daily Show to make this point, it says everything. I mean, again, that show's lead-in was Muppets making prank phone calls.
But are you having informants? You want informed citizens who are invested in society, in a fair society.
Yeah,
is that what's creating them, or is it creating people who think one way?
When Comedy Central has a show that's on Comedy Central, and they don't try to say this is actual news, we are fair and balanced. At no point did I ever feel like they tried to trick me. It just happened to be that their satire was much more accurate than people saying they're fair and balanced. That's the shame of it. And that shame is on our news networks, not on Comedy Central.
Well, if they said we are a bunch of liberal Democrat voting comedians who are going to screw Republicans while not actually telling you anything relevant, but just for entertainment purposes, if they put that disclaimer in front of the show, then I would be 100% with you.
Well, what disclaimer?
Okay?
What disclaimer would you? What disclaimer should?
Look at John.
Hold on. What disclaimer would you want people that disguise themselves as a news agency? What disclaimer should they put up there?
You want truth in advertising? Maybe you could have a reporter and say who he voted for in the last election or who he donated to.
Yeah,
that would make things easier.
So that's a lot less. That's a lot less of a guideline than you just asked for from Comedy Central.
Well, look at Jon Stewart now. I mean, he has become a serious. People are taking him seriously. He goes on various shows. He conducts interviews. So when you say that it was just an entertainment show, no, this guy wanted credentials, and he's still running off them to an extent. But I just disagree with you because I think that when you have Fox News and MSNBC, I think people are pretty smart and know most people don't trust the news right now. It's like in the high 70s to 80%. I personally don't watch the news in general unless there's an issue. You know, I will go research it on the internet. So I'm kind of out of touch on that, but I think people they just want to get an itch scratched. If you hate Trump and you hate Bush, you're going to sit in front of Rachel Maddow. And if you hate Hillary, you're going to watch Sean Hannity. But it's junk food. It's not really, doing anything.
It's destroying our nations, what it's doing. And I tell you this, I don't hear liberals talk about drag queens. I hear conservatives talk about drag queens. And I hear a lot of preemptive submission, and we do a lot of things preemptive. We preemptively submit our votes by voting along party lines. I think if we made these people earn our votes, meaning we were not pledging allegiance to a political party, but our nation, and actually made them earn our votes, that would be a nice way to a very easy thing to do. I say easy, but it's hard to shake off 40 years of propaganda on a group of people, which is the country that I love, and it's very unhealthy the way we're living, and we're not going to survive. Like Jerry, we're not going to come out of this resembling the country that we used to be. Do you agree? This is an unhealthy way to live for our country.
It's hard to disagree with a lot of things that you say, Dan. Even though you go back and forth and you say it's an unhealthy country, just as I'm looking at a headline that says Kit Kat cereal is hitting U.S. shelves. So again, where else but America? Kit Kats for breakfast. I always remain optimistic. I think that even when things get bad, what happens is sort of a cleansing where people, with all the censorship and cancel culture, it's so dumb because if you want to know where the idiots are, if you really are concerned about racism or sort of oppressive nationalists or something, let them speak. Let them have it, go on a podcast or, do an interview and go, now I know who you are. Okay, great. But, when you have all these controls over speech, like you've seen with Facebook and Twitter and, working with the government is actually, these are arms of the state that are silencing people and filtering the news. That is very concerning to me, and I think that should be to a lot of people. I mean, America invented free speech for the most part. The British say they did, but I think that's really true. They certainly don't have it now. But, right now you have a knife up the throat of dissent.
Well,
those people, you've seen those surveys where people are afraid to speak out, whether in social groups or in work.
In America, I see that because you're not going to get dragged out and shot and killed. They will ruin your career in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. They will ruin you, and they will assassinate you in a different way. And I don't think
who decides? I mean, where
the people that are in power, the oligarchs,
upstairs.
the oligarchs that run this country decide, and they hand the walking orders down to the foot soldiers, and we don't have truth in advertising when it comes to politics. Now, you tell me how that's democratic. If you're running for office, you're encouraged to lie to the people to try to trick them into voting for you. Is that true or false?
Whether you're lying to them, there's certainly a lot you have to omit. But, I mean, we don't have those 4-hour Lincoln Douglas debates anymore, so it's what the problem is really when people fundamentally mislead about what they're attempting to do.
Right.
When they say that they want to create jobs or fight inflation, and then they turn around and vote for massive spending and a bunch of other stupid things. Well,
don't attack Trump again for piling on the debt like you did. There's no need in that. Jerry, I love you, man. Let's see. Thank you for spending so much time with us, Jerry. And
I'm sure.
Let's give
Larry and when we're talking, are they doing Sudoku or how are they keeping busy? Not
Gina and Larry.
Yeah,
I think they're checking the lottery numbers, the winning lottery numbers, and things like that.
I'm making social plans, actually.
Yep.
Ordering Kit Kat cereal.
Yeah, I think they
Meeting
disconnected.
some friends at a bar.
Yeah.
It's Cinco de Mayo.
It is Cinco de Mayo.
It's after
it
5.
sure is.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go.
Okay, you guys have fun. Hey, Jerry, the issue that you're working on right now, which is very important, Crush the Can. Before you leave, give the folks the information and for the website, please, Jerry.
I'm sure. I have to do. It's crushthecantax.com because we want to crush it, obviously, and then we have caseforconsumers.org, which is our main website. So if they're interested in these kind of policy-oriented, trickle-down issues that hit consumers, give us a visit, and feel free to sign up or follow us on all the digital platforms. We're not owned by billionaires, and other than that, I'm in good stead with you, Dan.
Jerry, you're a guy that I have a lot of respect for, and I trust, and I like to talk with people like that about these issues, and I really appreciate you. I know that you're going to look into them, and just like you're doing on other important topics that affect the American people. Thank you for the hard work that you put in, and for I mean, you're a great American. Thank you for all your hard work.
Oh, you're too nice, Dan. Thank you. I don't know if this is going to be. This isn't going to instigate a run for governor or anything, or
I think you should.
You taking yourself out of the.
I think I have you propped up perfectly to run for governor.
I thought we were friends.
I would not do you like that, Jerry. No, and I would. I'd love to serve, but I don't know. It's the way that these super PACs are lined up, and it's as much money as it takes. I just could not make promises to corporations to do things that would not benefit the bulk of the American people. So until we have taxpayer-funded elections where money doesn't win the day in 90% of the elections, I'll probably just avoid running for office.
We could have some kind of Jeopardy-style primary to see who actually knows like how many amendments there are in the Bill of Rights, things like that. It's
a good
my
idea.
suggestion.
We would definitely have to implement the multiple choice. Well, have a chance.
Yeah. The guy who's on Jeopardy be president.
What are 27?
Close enough. Full credit.
There you go. How many amendments in the Constitution?
Yeah, I was just watching you.
What is 27?
No, I got it. And when I asked you to repeat, I was just watching you talk. See what you were going to say next. What was the guy's name? The longtime Alex Trebek.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do look. Yeah, I heard about that. You look like Alex Trebek.
Yeah.
Larry does.
Oh.
Jerry, have a great weekend, my friend.
Thank you, Dan. It's a pleasure as always, and hope to talk to you again soon.
Absolutely. We'll do that and can't wait till you come to town. Jerry Schmick. Great guy.
Yep.
Were you a fan of Jeopardy? I guess you were.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I had to watch it with my parents every day. They were big fans. That was part of their routine. So,
Did you think that Alex Trebek was kind of smug and arrogant?
not really.
Little
Thought he
bit.
was a good guy.
A little bit.
Because he had the answers on a card, and he seemed to be giving off the vibes that I'm smarter than you are to pretty much everyone on Earth. But he had the answers on his card.
Yeah, but he had to be able to pronounce a lot of that stuff.
Well, there you go.
The pronunciations, he was French Canadian, so he could put the little French Canadian touch to it.
Would that be French? It would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be.
I'm gonna.
He
I'm
didn't
gonna
like
go meet my
Cinco de
friend.
Mayo either, so.
What?
He didn't like Cinco de Mayo because he was French.
Let's see. You fine folk later.
She's been talking about leaving since she got
I
here.
know.
Here I go.
Hey, I'll tell you this, with BioT, I've been on it now for 5 years. And the benefits for me, increased energy and muscle strength, the greater ability to lose weight, increased mental clarity. I feel younger, I feel happier. Overall, just quality of life has improved tremendously, noticeably. With BioT, we're talking hormone pellets that contain the same chemical structure as your body's natural hormone. Because as we age, year by year, we lose those hormones, just kind of fly away, like maybe an endangered bird, or if you make a wrong movement, they'll just fly away. Your hormones kind of do that too, folks. And and you'll miss them when they're gone once you're there.
Yeah, you will.
The good news, there's replacement therapy that does not include synthetics. This is the amazing, how should I put this is what happens in the amazing process of science and nature coming together to produce amazing results for the human body. Hormone replacement, testosterone, estrogen. Ladies, talking to you as well. If she'd have left, she could have told you about. She's had a really good, about a month, and she's seen a lot of improvements.
You can tell.
Absolutely. For me, my testosterone level is now in my 50s is 1,200. That's where I was at when I was 23. And that's nice, Larry. It really is. The energy level, I even sleep better. Energy, mental clarity, the get up and go, the quality of life. And BioT, tiny pellets placed just under the skin, they release bioidentical hormones into the bloodstream. So you don't get the peaks and the valleys like you do with synthetic testosterone replacements, for example, like with shots. So I get one every 6 months. That procedure lasts about 10 minutes. It'll last me 6 months. So twice a year to maintain. I love it. And if it can do this for me, why couldn't it do it for you? I think it can. Dr. Shannon Bone, Advanced Rehab and Medical. AdvancedRehabJackson.com. You can call them. Call Dr. Bone and ask if BioT is right for you. 731-503-8254. 731-503-8254 for BioT. 731-503-8254. 5/11, Friday. Cinco de Mayo, May the 5th. 56 degrees. You know, the high today was only 61, Larry.
I know it. Felt great.
Gonna be in the 80s next week, though, and it's
yay,
yay, yay.
Because the ending's just too hard to take. walk away like a movie star who gets burned in a three-way street.
This is WBFG 96.5 FM. Parker's Crossroads, Jackson.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Protesters in New York are calling for an arrest in the death of Jordan Neely, who died after being put in a chokehold by a fellow subway passenger.
A New York medical examiner's office ruled that Jordan Neely's death was a homicide from compression of the neck. Groups of protesters in New York are demanding charges. Witnesses say Neely was acting erratically on an F train in the New York subway Monday afternoon, threatening passengers and throwing garbage in his jacket. When he was tackled by bystanders, police questioned and then released a 24-year-old white Marine showed on video holding Neely in a headlock for at least 3 minutes. Prosecutors promised a rigorous investigation, and police are seeking additional witnesses, photos, and video that might help illuminate what transpired. New York Mayor Eric Adams said Thursday there were many layers.
Langley Ford. Today, I'm going to talk about the 23 Bronco Sport Badland. The heart of this beast is a 2.0 EcoBoost, producing 250 horsepower and 277 foot-pounds of torque. And it does power a 4x4 system, which means you can get over any terrain possible. To go over any obstacle you have a 17-inch gray aluminum wheel wrapped in a all-terrain Pirelli tire. Now to the back, you're looking at 65 cubic feet of space, which means you can fit 3 golden retrievers back here, groceries, or even if you're a college student, moving boxes. But no matter what, you can celebrate by opening a bottle. Now moving on to the interior, you have an ebony roast with heated front seats. You do have a 8-inch display backed with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Now one of my favorite parts is the GOAT modes. So as I was talking about earlier, you have 7 different drive modes. The GOAT modes is what gets you to that different terrain. So if you guys liked anything I spoke about, the horsepower, cargo space, or even the interior, come see me today at Gene Langley Ford. Again, Chandler Lewis.
Every pest control company has access to the same products. The Southeastern difference is the way we go to market. We don't believe that you should have to take out a bank loan to protect your home. You have more value to us as a lifelong customer, not as a one-and-done sale from a slick salesman. We can still be reached 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Termite and pest control, fungus and moisture barriers, attic installation, or just about anything else. Our services are guaranteed. 731-660-1052.
Hey everybody, this is Chandler Lewis with Gene Langley Ford. Today, I'm going to talk about the 23 Bronco Sport Badland. The heart of this beast is a 2.0 EcoBoost, producing 250 horsepower and 277 foot-pounds of torque. And it does power a 4x4 system, which means you can get over any terrain possible. To go over any obstacle you have a 17-inch gray aluminum wheel wrapped in a all-terrain Pirelli tire. Now to the back, you're looking at 65 cubic feet of space, which means you can fit 3 golden retrievers back here, groceries, or even if you're a college student, moving boxes. But no matter what, you can celebrate by opening a bottle. Now moving on to the interior, you have an ebony roast with heated front seats. You do have a 8-inch display backed with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Now one of my favorite parts is the GOAT modes. So as I was talking about earlier, you have 7 different drive modes. The GOAT modes is what gets you to that different terrain. So if you guys liked anything I spoke about, the horsepower, cargo space, or even the interior, come see me today at Gene Langley Ford. Again, Chandler Lewis.
Every pest control company has access to the same products. The southeastern difference is the way we go to market. We don't believe that you should have to take out a bank loan to protect your home. You have more value to us as a lifelong customer, not as a one-and-done sale from a slick salesman. We can still be reached 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Termite and pest control, fungus and moisture barriers, attic installation, or just about anything else. Our services are guaranteed. 731-660-1052.
Hey everybody, this is Chandler Lewis with Gene Langley Ford. Today I'm going to talk about the 23 Bronco Sport Badland. The heart of this beast is a 2.0 EcoBoost, producing 250 horsepower and 277 foot-pounds of torque. And it does power a 4x4 system, which means you can get over any terrain possible. To go over any obstacle you have a 17-inch gray aluminum wheel wrapped in a all-terrain Pirelli tire. Now to the back, you're looking at 65 cubic feet of space, which means you can fit 3 golden retrievers back here, groceries, or even if you're a college student moving boxes. But no matter what, you can celebrate by opening a bottle. Now moving on to the interior, you have an ebony roast with heated front seats. You do have a 8-inch display backed with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Now one of my favorite parts is the GOAT modes. So as I was talking about earlier, you have 7 different drive modes. The GOAT modes is what gets you to that different terrain. So if you guys liked anything I spoke about, the horsepower, cargo space, or even the interior, come see me today at Gene Langley Ford. Again, Chandler Lewis.
Every pest control company has access to the same products. The southeastern difference is the way we go to market. We don't believe that you should have to take out a bank loan to protect your home. You have more value to us as a lifelong customer, not as a one-and-done sale from a slick salesman. We can still be reached 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Termite and pest control, fungus and moisture barriers, attic installation, or just about anything else. Our services are guaranteed. 731-660-1052.
Hey everybody, this is Chandler Lewis with Gene Langley Ford. Today I'm going to talk about the 23 Bronco Sport Badland. The heart of this beast is a 2.0 EcoBoost, producing 250 horsepower and 277 foot-pounds of torque. And it does power a 4x4 system, which means you can get over any terrain possible. To go over any obstacle you have a 17-inch gray aluminum wheel wrapped in a all-terrain Pirelli tire. Now to the back, you're looking at 65 cubic feet.
shack. And you may find yourself in another part of the world. And you may find yourself behind the wheel of a large automobile. And you may find yourself in a beautiful house with a beautiful wife. And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here? Letting the days go by, let the water hold me down. Letting the days go by, water flowing underground into the blue again. After the money's gone, once in a lifetime.
You know, everybody's social media star, or they want to be these days. There's a video, I don't know if you've seen it, it's gone viral, of a tourist in Hawaii that followed her GPS. Are you with me so far, Larry?
Yes, I am.
You seen it?
No.
She followed her GPS right into the Pacific Ocean.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
It's gone viral. A tourist in Hawaii followed her GPS directions right into the ocean last Saturday. It happened on a boat ramp. A bunch of guys had to jump in and save her. She was in a minivan, of all things. And her minivan completely sank in a few minutes. Her passenger also made it out, but a bystander, there was a lot of profanity in this video. Larry's edited it out. And take a listen to this. Have you ever, sometimes the GPS doesn't account for new, like, streets.
Right.
Yeah, or she followed it right into the ocean. Okay, here it is. Listen to this, Larry.
It's sinking. Hurry, guys. Hurry.
It's total.
Oh, my God.
Everybody's out. Everybody's out.
She said later that she was following her GPS while trying to find a boat tour to go check out some manta rays. Now, I just want to remind you now, if your vehicle goes into the water, make sure you get everyone out of the vehicle as soon as possible. That's always a good idea. Like in this case, it was completely submerged within 3 minutes. 3 minutes it took that minivan to completely disappear underneath the water. 3 minutes. That's all it took.
She'd left her windows up. The manta rays appeared, and you could look at her.
Yeah, that's probably a good advice. Especially, while you're drowning. Look, there's a manta ray. This Jackson Northside spring football is happening right now.
Yeah.
Jackson Northside. Just heard from Brad Barnett. The Northside Indians, their spring football got a brand new head coach. We had him on the program, and he has a great resume, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
So it's spring. Boy, geez, it is that time, isn't it? Geez, the spring games that wraps up spring training, spring practice.
Already.
Well, I mean, it's that time of year. It just boy, life moves fast, doesn't it?
Well, what, about 2 weeks of school left? Something like that?
That's it. Jeez. I tell you this, it is nice to make it through another winter.
Yes, it is. If it ever ends.
Well, no, I mean, it's 56 degrees. I mean, that's not, we'd like it to be like 76 degrees, but we've made it through another winter.
Yeah.
Jeez. There's some people that winter is their favorite season. Are you one of those?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, really?
Just whatever the weather does, I like it. If it's pretty, I like it. If it's rainy, I like it. If it's cold, I like it. I'm just thankful to be above ground.
Well, I don't know. That seems to be taking a holier than thou attitude. Not that you made it that way, but what I was asking you is, I don't get suicidal when it rains or if the weather's not, sunny at 80. But I prefer sunny and 80. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite season?
I like spring.
Would that be your favorite?
Just when, well, in the spring it is.
Geez, Larry, I'm not answering.
I don't really like summer.
I'm not answering you to
hot.
a tough, a question about your theory on evolution. It was just.
Well, I told you my.
Do you have a favorite season?
I said spring.
Season. Okay.
And my least favorite summer. So.
Because the being uncomfortable because of the humidity.
Well, just it's hot. But if you stay inside, it's not hot.
If you have air conditioning,
No,
right?
I get up early in the summer and do stuff. So,
man, I love summer, dude. The hotter the better. Those warm summer nights, made for romance, even if it's solo, just made for romance. 12-6, the blue team is defeating the gold team in the blue-gold game at Jackson Northside. The spring football game is happening right now. Brad just sent us over a photo. Boy, I tell you this. This is perfect weather for a football game.
Yes, it is.
The football team's very fortunate to see Jackson Madison County with spring football anywhere across West Tennessee. 56 degrees is perfect for football, isn't it?
Perfect.
With all that equipment on, man, dude, it's just ever occur to anyone out there that we now play football in the summer and baseball in the winter when it comes to high school. Because football starts now in August, and baseball starts in February.
Right.
And I tried to pick up some momentum a few years ago on this, and just could not gather up any momentum whatsoever to when, like in August, when school starts, baseball season starts, then football season when the weather cools down, and of course basketball season to follow. But the thing that would prevent that would be the overlapping seasons of football and basketball. What do we do with basketball? They'd have to move basketball back. But it seemed to me, though, if you do that, basketball season just replaces, well, once football ends, of course, basketball will pick right up.
Right.
And you could get to, so you'd have essentially after Christmas break, January, February, March, April, in May, 5 months to get it in. So it's plenty of time on the calendar during the school year to do that.
Right.
But maybe it's tradition that prevents that from happening. What do you think?
Tradition.
You ever thought about that?
Well, they have so many days. They have 180 days. They have to fit all that into.
But we just determined there was plenty of time to do it, right?
Yeah. You would think. And they got softball too.
You can do softball. It runs parallel to baseball season.
Right.
So that's not that doesn't throw in an added wrinkle. You know what I mean?
And then when they start having junior high baseball, middle school baseball.
Well, they already do.
Yeah.
But that doesn't throw an added wrinkle in either, because baseball and softball season, middle school, as well, they run parallel to one another, same time of the year.
Tracks in the spring too.
Yeah, but you could move that back to summer, or have it leave it in the spring for all I care. Right, but spring sports really bulk of that's played in colder, bad weather, right?
Right.
But football starts, but you still you have triple digit heat index during summer camp and then during the early part of the season. It could be perceived to be a safety thing too, right?
Right.
But I tell you, I just didn't pick up any momentum with that at all. There was a lot of pushback against it. So, I guess I'll just let that go, because I don't think that's going to happen. We're going to work on Crush the Can. Also, today is Cinco de Mayo, and Cinco de Mayo, James Taylor sang one of my favorite songs, James Taylor's Mexico. Remember that song?
Yeah.
Yeah, James Taylor's Mexico. Yes, for Cinco de Mayo.
They party on, party on the 5th of May. You'll do shots and get very drunk on this day. Oy vey. Oh, Mexico. That's why we celebrate Cinco de Mayo. You hit the bars and then you go home. You're hungover hard now.
It's a great song.
Drinking hard, it's oh, Mexico.
Well, James Taylor could do it, couldn't he?
He still can.
Yep.
Happy Cinco de Mayo from your friends south of the border, who are now mostly north of the border.
Stand by for Not Headline News.
This is not Headline News. Today is Cinco de Mayo, and as long as you drink enough tequila while wearing a sombrero, poncho, and giant fake mustache, you'll be too plastered to worry about your shameless attempts to reduce Mexican culture to painfully outdated stereotypes. Not only Cinco de Mayo, but also National No Pants Day. So tonight you have two excuses. King Charles' coronation is tomorrow. And hey, it's a big deal. Not every day that a seemingly unemployed man somehow gets a promotion. Jenny Craig is shutting down. Kind of ironic that they're going belly up. And scientists say plants cry when stressed. Remember that the next time you stuff their leaves in a bong and smoke them. This is not Headline News.
There you go, not Headline News. And is that true about Jenny Craig? I guess it is. Are they going out of business?
Nutrisystem is picking up all their clients. They had a special where whatever you pay for all that stuff. It seemed kind of high to me, but
it's so I did not know that. Jenny Craig has gone belly up. The irony of that. Well, I didn't know that. Hey, the range, Jackson's only indoor shooting range is, pardon me, the range. And with it being Jackson's only indoor shooting range, it's not far-fetched to think, Larry, that it's West Tennessee's only indoor shooting range. You ever go down there?
Yes, I have.
Pardon me, the coffee's cold, by the way.
Well, after 3 hours,
General, I tell you, they've got a silencer shop there. Firearm transfers, they do it right there on site. Classes, they've got church security team training. All this at the range. The only indoor shooting range in town at 2310 North Highland Avenue in Jackson. They've got weekday memberships, and where you can add a gas for just $5. I mean, it's incredible, all the different classes, the activities, and you don't have to worry about the weather. It's indoors. It's climate controlled, heated and cooled. It's really nice. And you can enjoy with a Hero membership, for example, a free lane 7 days a week, 6 free guest passes a year, periodic members only, specials and events. And it applies to all veteran and active military, law enforcement, EMS, fire department personnel, all that with a Hero membership. Check on that. That's just one of the membership opportunities, the sharpshooter membership, the expert membership, and the classes. If you log on to gototherange.com, you can check for the available classes and all the training and all that the range has to offer, including the range store. And they have world-class trainers right there on site at the range. Now, they're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., and on Sundays, 1 till 6. Phone number is 731-240-1776. Even the phone number is patriotic at the range. Go to therange.com. Go to therange.com. If you mention the Dan Reeves Show or Chuck Walker or News Talk 96.5, they'll give you a free handgun training class. That's about a $45 value. That's awesome. At the range. Go to therange.com. Go to therange.com. Go to therange.com. And the Range store, they get all kind of great gear in there, don't they? I mean, the latest, everything you would need for handguns, for guns in general, long guns, action pistol competition. They have that there. It's at the range, active shooter training. we hope we never have to put that in motion, but it's good to have that active shooter training, right?
It is.
All that at the range. 2310 North Highland, Jackson. The Range. The website, go to therange.com, go to therange.com, go to therange.com. Big plans this weekend, Larry?
No.
But you're going to take it easy? We'll be up here working all weekend. We're redoing some things. If this, since it is Cinco de Mayo, though, it's remember that phone call President Trump called in about Cinco de Mayo? I think we ought to replay that. This is from a few years ago when President Trump was in office. Cinco de Mayo memories. We have a lot of those. There's a lot about Cinco de Mayos in the past that we don't remember. This is one we do.
Latino, Mexican, and Chicano holiday. It really is. It is a very special time that commemorates the day that a large group of Mexican alcoholics, led by an amazing conquistador named General Yucatan Peninsula, such a heroic guy, huge huevos, he defeated the French army under the command of Captain Jean-Luc Picard, and he freed all the frogs that were being held prisoner because they thought they had spread herpes.
That was our phone call with that was back in 2017. I just looked at that. 2017. Geez, time flies. Cinco de Mayo memories. Man, I used to love the Cinco de Mayo celebration. They had it over at what was the Mexican restaurant that's long since gone? On Carrot House Drive. Was that El Chico?
Yeah, El Chico.
Yeah. You remember those?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I was sad when that place closed.
Same here. This something that we should mention as well as many of you are going to be partying down here on Cinco de Mayo. PTCDMS, that's post-traumatic Cinco de Mayo syndrome. And we had, as part of our PSA, part of our community service, to play these for you. So here you go. Take notes.
Contracted post-traumatic Cinco de Mayo syndrome. If you awoke in bed minus your pantalones with a burro wearing a promotional Dos Equis sombrero, you might have post-traumatic Cinco de Mayo syndrome, or PTCDMS. Many sufferers of PTCDMS hear La Bamba ringing in their ears while 3/7 of a mariachi band are in their kitchen making huevos rancheros, asking the same question in Espanol over and over. Why is that naked guy covered in pico de gallo? Do you have an urge to roll your R's? Are a collection of Patron tchotchkes hanging from you? Down there, do one or more of your new friends answer to the name Chewy? Or is comedian George Lopez drunk on your couch begging you to give him one of your kidneys? Then you might be a victim of PTCDMS. Get the facts about post-traumatic Cinco de Mayo syndrome at any cantina, cochina, or wherever your drunk gringo ass got kicked out of last night. It smells of tequila and shame. Post-traumatic Cinco de Mayo syndrome.
It happens, folks. So now you've been warned and prepared for that. We hope you all have a great time. But be safe, right?
You know your song that you wanted to know who did her clothes fall off when tequila
makes her clothes fall off.
Kenny Chesney.
Is that Kenny Chesney?
Yeah.
I do. That's a great song. And it's a true song. It's a
party?
story.
It's Fiesta Friday.
Fiesta!
Me want taco. Yo quiero Taco Bell.
I'm from Margaritaville.
Honey, it's more than a party in my mouth. It's like a fiesta.
Searching for my lost sugar salt.
That singles weekend in Tijuana. Freaky deaky.
You're a mess. You're chopping down tequila. I want you to go find firecrackers and a chihuahua.
Está muy loco. Wasting away again in Margaritaville.
It's a Mexican-themed fiesta.
You love Mexican food.
Who's ready for margaritas?
Somebody hit margarita madness on the way home, huh?
Listen, I need a bottle of tequila.
We'll take it.
That's a funny thing there. It's a Mexican themed fiesta. You'll only hear that. You only hear that in America. I do believe. That is funny.
Nibbling on sponge cake.
It's seriously, folks. Be safe out there. Have fun and be safe. You think you could Is it possible to do both?
Yes.
You have to be very careful, though. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. It is Friday. Happy Tequila Friday. Cinco de Mayo. For crying out loud.
Beer. Okay, now who wants more wine?
Yay!
Tequila.
Gotta live life for today, you know?
A couple of bottles of wine and some tequila shots.
Isn't that a damn good reason to live it up today? Party's about to start.
We invented Fridays.
It's really the greatest day of all time.
We're just around the corner from the weekend.
What is taking so long?
What do you say we get this party started?
I feel like a new man.
We don't have no beer, just tequila.
Instructional Films presents Cinco de Mayo, remembering Mexico's resistance to French rule on May 5th, 1862. The holiday is virtually ignored in Mexico, but thanks to slick marketing campaigns, it's a hit in the U.S. Look, there's the board of directors for the beer companies, laughing all the way to the bank. And there's Jeff, who drank too many cervezas and tried to drive home. He got pulled over by the police. Cinco de Mayo, because St. Patrick's Day was almost 2 months ago.
Nibbling on sponge cake. Watching the sun bake.
Oh, man, you gotta laugh, don't you? It certainly is, Madison.
Truth is funny sometimes.
It is.
Strumming my six.
Yep.
Happy Cinco de Mayo from your friends south of the border, who are now mostly north of the border.
All weekend long they'll have bloodshot eyes. The crowd will grow even louder and get out of hand. The music blasts for hours. Corona's in their hands. Cinco de Mayo parties, drink tequilas and do keg stands. Everyone's Caucasian, but they pretend to be Mexican. All of those tourists covered.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
That wasn't politically correct, was it?
It's,
Tequila makes me horny and mean.
okay. Did you say that, Larry? It's, the official tequila jingle. We'll leave you with that and wish you a great weekend. I tell you that we do.
1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila, floor.
Larry, have a great weekend, my
You
friend.
too.
We wish you all a very pleasant weekend. Have fun, be safe, and have fun tonight. But again, keep it within reason, right? Be
Right.
safe out there, folks. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please visit newstalk965.com. Or you can go back and watch the shows on demand, and you can go back and watch the mayoral debates. If you at the top of the page with the buttons.
Black Time Boxing.
You
all
can
that
you can
stuff.
click on events and you get a drop down box. Watch the debates, mayoral debate that we did about a month or two ago, and then Black Time Boxing, as Larry mentioned, it's all right there. Jackson Madison County High School sports, and all the shows, and on our social media platforms as well: Facebook, Twitter. Said on Twitter and also TikTok. We got a lot of big things coming your way, and revamping the digital TV network. We think you'll like it. We hope you will, and we wish you all a very pleasant weekend. For Gina Langley, Larry Newman, Jerry Skameka, my name's Dan Reeves. Have a great weekend.
drive my flip-flop. Stepped on a pop-top. Cut my heel, had to cruise on back home. But there's booze in the blender, and soon it will render that frozen concoction that helps me hang on.
And I'll see you tomorrow morning at Mulligan's, and tonight at Mulligan's, mulligansjackson.com, mulligansjackson.com, Mulligan's and Thompson Farms, Saturday and Sunday brunch at Mulligan's. I love me some Mulligan's.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't you? mulligansjackson.com.
Some people claim that there's a woman to blame, but I know it's my own damn fault. Yes, and some people claim that there's a woman to blame, and I know it's my own damn fault.
This is WBFG 96.5 FM, 96.5 FM, Parker's Crossroads, Jackson.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Russia's Wagner boss threatens a Bakhmut pullout in Ukraine. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports.
The owner of the Wagner Group has vowed to pull his troops out of the protracted battle for the eastern Ukrainian city of Bakhmut next week, accusing Russia's military command of starving his forces of ammunition and causing them heavy losses. Yevgeny Prigozhin, a notorious millionaire with long-time links to Russian President Vladimir Putin, claims his forces had planned to capture Bakhmut by May 9, but he says he hasn't received enough artillery ammunition supplies from the Russian military since Monday. Known for his bluster, the Wagner boss has previously made unverifiable claims and made threats he hasn't carried out. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
St. Louis's first black prosecutor says she will resign as Republican leaders call for her immediate ouster. Correspondent Jennifer King reports.
St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner says she will step aside on June 1st. The Democrat tweeted the news to city constituents Thursday.